In the northern part of Tianhai City in the Yangsheng base, amidst the vast snowfield, a large oil refinery with huge pipelines is emitting dense black smoke into the sky. Although the temperature in this area is below minus 60 degrees, the temperature near the refinery is much higher. The Tianhai Oil Refinery, the largest in Tianhai City, has an oil reserve of millions of barrels. With abundant energy resources, they do not need to worry about depletion. Instead, they can exchange these oil products with other forces. In a factory at the Yangsheng base, two men in tattered clothing are tied up with ropes and kneeling on the icy ground. They shiver not from the cold, but from fear of the two people looking down at them. One is dressed in black combat gear, wearing gold-rimmed glasses with a cold gaze. The other, standing out among the warriors, is a long-haired woman dressed in red. A soldier steps forward and reports, "Leader, among the 5 escapees, we have killed 3 and captured 2. Please decide how to deal with them." The 2 men kneeling on the ground quickly plead, "We were wrong. Please give us another chance. I promise I won't run away again. Please don't kill me." The girl in the red dress looked down at them with a cold gaze. She was a beautiful woman with a chilling beauty, but her large eyes held no trace of compassion. She looked at the 2 people kneeling on the ground as if they were 2 pigs. No, even less than 2 pigs, because right now, 2 living pigs would surely have more value than these living humans. She coldly asked, "Why are you running away? While labor is needed here, at least I will provide food and shelter for you. Do you want to die outside if you leave this place?" The man on the ground trembled more violently as Tio Hong Lion approached, continually banging his head on the ground, pleading for mercy. "We were thoughtless for a moment. Please spare us this time." Xiao Hong Lian's voice grew colder. "Now tell me, where do you want to escape to?" The 2 people on the ground exchanged glances instinctively, no one daring to speak. Xiao Hong Lian's eyes held a derisive look. "Do you want to go to the Worship the Snow Sect area, begging that deceitful woman for help, right?" The 2 did not dare respond, only continuing to bow their heads, pleading for her to spare their lives. "Please spare us, we will do anything." Their actions were no different than admitting the truth of her words. The girl in the red dress was indeed Xiao Hong Lian. She let out a cold laugh, losing interest in continuing the interrogation. She said to her assistant Shuj King Ting, "Recently, you have developed a new type of toy, haven't you?" Shuj King Ting nodded. "The engineering department has developed a collar that can hide a mini-bomb inside. As long as it is worn on the neck of the slave, if anyone tries to escape next time, we can deal with them directly." Xiao Hong Lian, hearing this, said indifferently, "Then let me test its effectiveness." As soon as her voice fell, 2 collars were brought in. The slaves on the ground were in extreme panic, struggling to escape. However, they were quickly restrained by the surrounding soldiers and forced to wear the collars around their necks. She asked the assistant, "What is the effective range?" Zhuge King Ting replied respectfully, 5 kilometers. As soon as we detect a missing slave, we will activate the collar. No slave can escape." Xiao Hong Lian held the remote control and mockingly said to the 2 slaves, "Now I will give you an opportunity to escape. If this collar explodes without killing you, you might survive. You can pray a little after all. This is a new product, and its effectiveness is not guaranteed." After speaking, the soldiers cut the ropes binding the 2 slaves' hands. The 2 slaves were terrified as they looked at the remote control in Xiao Hong Lian's hand. The collar around their necks felt like a demon tightening its grip on their lives. They did not dare to hesitate and quickly turned to run out of the factory. As long as they could run far enough, the Sigma would no longer be effective. They held on to this hope and ran for their lives. 10 minutes later, King Ting used his phone to call the soldiers outside and asked, "What's the situation?" The soldier reported, "One explosion was successful, and the other was a failure. How can the technical department produce such poor items? When will their skills reach even half of the Xishan base? I would be satisfied with that." Xiao Hong Lian said, "I have kept my word and let that slave go. I hope he has better luck and successfully escapes the territory of Worship the Snow Sect, capturing all the project managers from the technical department involved in this, locking them in a dark room for 3 days." King Ting spoke while walking with Xiao Hong Lian. "Leader, our technical staff may not be as good as those at the Xishan base, but there's nothing we can do about it. In terms of weapon research and development, it's often very hard to find talented people." He sighed. "The apocalypse has just begun, and they have taken the talented individuals. We can only search around the university and the research institute nearby to select talent." Tio Hong Lian was angry. "If it weren't for these ignorant slaves who always want to escape, how could I waste so many resources on them? Worship the Snow Sect, that deceitful organization, only sees them as prey. Do they really believe that there will be a divine mother to help them in the apocalypse? Worship the Snow Sect is the only force that does not rely on the government to establish a refuge. They also have the largest number of participants. They do not use force to dominate like other forces, but influence others through religious beliefs. Huge King Ting quickly followed her and said, "As long as we can secure a piece of fat in the territory of the Xishan base, we will ease the current pressure. Ultimately, in the apocalyptic world, the root cause of all problems is the lack of resources." Xiao Hong Lion waved her hand. "But to seize the Lujiang and Xishan areas, we must first stabilize the rear. I need the technical department to accelerate research. We must ensure that the function of this explosive necklace is more stable. Safety can be temporarily disregarded, but we must ensure that they can explode." Ting Ting nodded, remembering Xiao Hong Lian's instructions. "It can explode, I understand." Suddenly, Xiao Hong Lian stopped and asked, "How many of the Vanguard troops sent out in recent days have returned?" Ting Ting replied, "Most have returned. Even those who haven't come back have reported on the situation. Except for Gao Yuan's team, there are currently no reports of anyone returning, nor any updates." Upon hearing Gao Yuan's name, Xiao Hong Lian couldn't help but frown. Gao Yuan was her cousin, who had once been the captain of the armed police force in Tianhai City. He had a proud personality, and apart from Xiao Hong Lian, nobody at Yangsheng base could make him submit. Despite his age, he remained stubborn, but suddenly she had a bad feeling. She sensed that things were not as simple as everyone thought. Xiao Hong Lian turned to King Ting and asked, "Is he in any danger?" Ting Ting adjusted her glasses. "Right now, within the 5 major powers of Tianhai City, considering whether there are other forces from Xishan base, the relationship between the two sides is extremely complicated. No one dares to initiate war. Even when facing those from the Snow Sect, who constantly invite people to join their chaotic cult, we do not wish to create a significant conflict. Therefore, even if Gao Yuan encounters someone from another faction, they must still show him respect. Unless..." Xing Ting's gaze was cold behind her glasses. "They are competing for some particularly valuable resource. Only then would they break the agreement and attack." Xiao Hong Lian's gaze became sharp. "In Tianhai City, we, along with other major forces, have occupied key resource points. The remaining resources, while important, are not enough to cause a full-scale conflict. I am relatively at ease about the other forces. The Zhao Yu base will not oppose us, and the King Fu base adheres to the principle. If no one touches me, I won't touch anyone else, except for worshipping the Snow Sect." After a moment of thought, Xiao Hong Lian carefully spoke to King Ting. "Continue to contact Gao Yuan. We must find a way to reach him. If we really can't get in touch, it is very likely that something has happened to him." A soldier hurriedly ran in to report, "We cannot find any trace of Gao Yuan and the others. Both the people and the vehicle have disappeared." Xiao Hong Lian exclaimed in surprise, "What? Gao Yuan, as reckless as he is, would not dare to disobey my orders and unilaterally cut off contact with the base to go to him. Something must be wrong." She asked the soldier, "Is there any way to locate them? There should be a satellite phone on the vehicle, which should have tracking devices." The soldier replied that no devices have been found. "This is the most suspicious part. We can't find any tracking signals at all. They seem to have vanished into thin air." Xiao Hong Lian rested her chin on her hand and thought for a moment before saying, "So it can be said that they were prepared when they came. Certainly, they did not act out of greed on a whim, but had long wanted to target the Yangsheng base. Initiating a raid, Gao Yuan's disappearance is just a signal for war." Xiao Hong Lian furrowed her brows and thought, which base is it? Zhao Yu, King Fu, or worship the Snow Sect? Or is it the remnants of the Xishan base? Xing Ting spoke up. "I feel like the location of the incident is closest to the Zhao Yu base. We can contact them first to see what they have to say." Feeling that King Ting was right, Xiao Hong Lian took out the device and called the Zhao Yu base. "Ruven Ting Hai, my cousin has disappeared from the Hong Yuan group workshop in the Lujiang area. Do you know about this?" Scene shifts to the Zhao Yu base. Upon hearing this, Ruven Ting Hai immediately understood that Xiao Hong Lian was suspicious of him. His voice became colder. "You arrived quickly, but I can assure you that this has nothing to do with our Zhao Yu base. Furthermore, we have someone missing as well. I sent someone to investigate the Xishan base, but they also disappeared for no apparent reason." Due to this matter, Ruven Ting Hai was also filled with unease. He did not know who had acted. Ruven Ting Hai said coldly, "In Tianhai City, mutant people are very rare. Even if there are mutant people roaming outside, it would be difficult for them to train soldiers against me seriously. Therefore, I want to ask about your areas. Could it be that you are behind this?" Xiao Hong Lian understood Ruven Ting Hai's meaning. He was also suspecting that some force was acting in the shadows, which might include their Yangsheng base. Thus, both our two houses have suffered losses. Xiao Hong Lian's gaze became much clearer. In the entire city of Tianhai, not many people have the strength to simultaneously confront both our factions. The King Fu base also does not like to fight and has no reason to contend with us. so it can only be the worship of the Snow Sect. Ruan Tinghai smiled. That's right, you are correct. It must be the worship of the Snow Sect that did this. He and Xiao Hong Lian shared the same thought. They had long disliked the worship of the Snow Sect, a religious organization that always tried to recruit survivors in the city of Tianhai. Xiao Hong Lian asked Ruan Tinghai, "So, can you not swallow your anger?" Ruan Tinghai coldly replied, Wang Ruxuan is someone I highly value. If the worship of the Snow Sect dares to kill him, I will make them pay tenfold. Xiao Hong Lian smiled. Very well, this is a great opportunity to teach them a lesson. After discussing, both sides decided to take this opportunity to attack the headquarters of the worship of the Snow Sect. The scene shifted to outside Zhang Yi's hideout. Jang Yi was currently inside the house preparing the defense line and shelter. Everyone was participating together, and no one was lazy. Soon, the outer defense line was basically completed. Jang Yi did not expect the first defense line to be invincible. He only viewed it as a temporary stall area. If a strong enemy were to break through the first defense line, there was no need to worry too much. Just ensure a safe retreat to the shelter. Jang Yi thought to himself, when the time comes to connect with the computer and directly control these weapons while sitting in the shelter, it will be a perfect fortress. Liu Keiran waved her hand to inform Zhang Yi. Jang, we have also completed the repairs on all the external walls of the shelter. Zhang Yi did not forget to give them an encouraging compliment. Great job. Zhang Yi looked around the defensive line of the shelter and muttered, They haven't taken any action yet. I haven't even detected any traces of scouts. It seems that the leaders of Zhao Yu and Yang Sheng are not simple. After a long day of work, Zhang Yi's group had a dinner full of delicious food. They celebrated the completion of the project together. At this moment, Liang Yu approached and said to Zhang Yi, I want to bring some food to my students. Zhang Yi replied, All right. Liang Yu took the food bag, smiled, and thanked him, then headed towards Sudong village. Zhang Yi watched her figure, a pensive look appearing in his eyes. After a while, Liang Yu returned, and the expression on her face indicated that she was not in a good mood. Clearly, the students had said something to her. Although Liang Yu did not mention it herself, Zhang Yi did not ask. Instead, someone naturally would take the initiative to do so in his place. Yang Xin stepped forward and subtly asked, Teacher Liang, why do you look unwell? Did they say something unpleasant to you? Yang Xin took Liang Yu's hand and said in a low, slow voice, They are being unreasonable. I even feel that Teacher Liang should not intervene in their matters anymore. Just let them manage on their own. She hasn't done anything wrong. If there is a mistake, it's their fault. Even if she neglects them, she won't be responsible for anything. Liang Yu's mood improved somewhat. Is that so? Is it really like that? No, after all, I am still their teacher. Seeing Liang Yu angrily turn away, Zhang Yi thought to himself, the villain is not us. To be fair, this feeling is also. Seeing shifts to the training ground, Zhang Yi said to Liang Yu, If you really feel it's dangerous, we can discuss having them stay near the shelter. Zhang Yi expressed his sincerity. Of course, since our relationship with them isn't close, this matter needs to be decided through a joint meeting. Hearing Zhang Yi's suggestion, Liang Yu felt touched. However, after a moment of hesitation, she slowly shook her head. For now, it shouldn't be like that. In the past few days, I have talked a lot with Xin and Qi Ran. The time at Tian King University has really hurt them. During that time, they were ostracized by their classmates, and we, as their teachers, also cannot escape responsibility. Let them first train in Sudong village. Liang Yu said with a beaming smile on her face. Anyway, everyone is living very peacefully right now. There's no danger happening, so there's really no need to worry so much. Zhang Yi smiled, his eyes squinting as he nodded in approval. Having such a mindset is good. Even in the apocalypse, maintaining a part of your good personality is very important. He stretched his back. I should learn from you, not to be scared all the time. This world is still good. Tomorrow is full of hope, isn't it? Liang Yu saw Zhang Yi looking lazy and couldn't help, but burst out laughing, looking very adorable. It's rare to hear such words from you. She tied her hair into a ponytail and winked at Zhang Yi. So, shall we start our martial arts training today? Zhang Yi asked curiously. What are we training today? Liang Yu was warming up, cracking her hands and legs, and said, You learn martial arts to deal with close combat situations. Therefore, jiu-jitsu and wrestling are very useful. Today, we will practice Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Zhang Yi smiled and nodded. All right. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a martial art that requires technique, and the two often had to grapple with each other during practice. Liang Yu was very skilled, often using quick kicks and wrapping her opponent's neck with her thigh or squeezing their head under her armpit, using overwhelming strength to make him submit. Zhang Yi grimaced at each of her moves. Just after finishing this move, Liang Yu quickly transitioned to another. She grappled Zhang Yi, pinning the young man's head to the floor, causing Zhang Yi to scream. No, I can't take it anymore. I surrender. Seeing that Zhang Yi could no longer endure it, Liang Yu released him and helped him sit up. Zhang Yi, after just a few moves from Liang Yu, was panting and covered in sweat. While Liang Yu was resting and drinking some water, Zhang Yi discreetly watched her and thought to himself. He sensed that this woman's mood had changed since entering the shelter. Initially, she was desperate with the apocalyptic world as she saw no future and found no meaning in life. She'd only place her hope in protecting those students. But now, after entering the shelter, she was living a peaceful life, even better than when she was a teacher at Tian King School. The peaceful environment could meld a hardened heart, helping people understand the beauty of life. Although Liang Yu still maintained her daily routine of bringing food to the students, she also interacted more with others in this house, and her smile was more frequent. Jang Yi felt that this was a positive trend. A person with needs and desires could be utilized in his strategy, helping her become a pawn in his game. At night, Zhang Yi lay on the bed, pondering, should he do it or not? This was also the right time to deal with the troublesome students in Sudong village. The method was very simple. Just place these satellite phones in their room. The people from Yangsheng base would definitely find out. In this apocalyptic world, human lives are as insignificant as weeds. The Yangsheng base would certainly not forgive them. This plan to kill them by using someone else's hands could create a perfect outcome. Thinking of this, he opened the space door and took out the satellite phone. But this also carried risks, as it would soon attract the attention of the Yangsheng base, and even the Zhao Yu base. Yankuei Estate would soon become the new target. Even though Zhang Yi did not naturally expose himself, being discovered was just a matter of time. He was troubled. What should I do? Zhang Yi began to fantasize. Was it possible that we could kill someone without being detected by the two major bases? If so, we could live peacefully, enjoying our lives while they continued to dominate Tian High City. If possible, he definitely did not want to conflict with anyone or any force. Zhang Yi sighed to himself. Dreaming is really absurd. How can something good like this happen? In everything you do, you must be prepared to face the consequences. Conflicts with other major forces are unavoidable. He has to deal with new persons, including key members of Yangsheng and Zhao Yu's base. The opponent cannot avoid investigation. Moreover, even if he is fortunate enough to go undetected, after the Saishan base is destroyed, other factions will definitely come here to divide the Saishan area and the Yulu neighborhood. At that time, they cannot easily overlook the powerful and elite existence of Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi squinted and said, peace cannot be achieved simply by easily forgiving and retreating. Therefore, I will create a fierce battle that shakes the world. Isn't it enough to just instill fear in them? As long as I stay within the completed defense line, who can threaten me? After a moment of thought, Heat, with a firm gaze, tightened his grip on the satellite device and made his decision. Even if I die, I will never leave the defense line. He handed the satellite phone to Hua Hua, whispering a few gentle words. The door of Zhang Yi's room suddenly opened slowly. Hua Hua stepped out of the room quietly, with the satellite phone in its mouth, and silently went down the stairs, exiting the main door of the shelter. Hua Hua ran swiftly towards the other side of the river in Sudong village. The scene shifts to a large church in the Tianfeng area. Inside, the voices of many people echo. Honorable Sect leader is here. In the large church in the Tianfeng area, over 1,000 worshippers crowd together, eyes fixed forward, whispering prayers. The center of everyone's attention is a young woman in red clothing. When she opens her mouth, a profound yet melodic verse resonates within the church. The white snow in the sky, all things on earth, our bodies are born from God, our souls come from above. The sunlight and moonlight eluding our bodies, the pure white snow cleanses our souls. Immediately after, the worshippers also begin to sing along to the song. After finishing the song, the girl in red spreads her arms and says, I dedicate myself to the cold winds that blow through this land, feeling the miracle bestowed by the heavens. Where the people of the snow god exist on this land, I pray that our souls remain eternally safe and happy. I hope to share joy with everyone, as well as to share sorrow. Please live forever and praise the people who worship the Snow Sect so that we can use our souls and bodies to testify. A frail woman holding a child slowly makes her way through the crowd, unsteadily moving towards Yun Kongyi. She trembles as she kneels down, raising the baby high. Honorable Sect leader, save us! The girl in the red dress bowed her head to look at the child. The child's skin was pale and weak, seemingly unable to survive. She gently placed her right hand on the child's forehead. A warm wave of water, a cool breeze, along with a white light swept through the church. After a moment, the child slowly opened his eyes and began to cry loudly. When they heard the crying, each person in the church showed excitement in their eyes. A miracle! A miracle! They began to sing loudly in unison, praising the great snow god, honoring the snow god, the honorable sect leader of humanity. This is one of her special abilities. Worship the snow sect cult leader Zhang Yi. She has the ability to heal diseases. This ability has attracted many followers and has played a significant role in granting blessings. This process of giving grace continued multiple times throughout the ceremony. After so many blessings, a look of fatigue was evident on Zhang Yi's face. A young man with long hair standing beside her saw this and stepped forward to say, "Cult leader, please take a rest. We can continue granting blessings tomorrow." Upon hearing this, some followers in the crowd who had not yet received blessings showed signs of worry. In this situation, any slight negligence could lead to an unforeseen death for those who were dreaming. Zhang Yi calmly shook her head and said, "Let's continue." Zhang Yi's assistant, Zhang Yi, reluctantly stepped aside. However, just during the blessing ritual, a loud explosion suddenly erupted outside, followed by an incessant sound of gunfire. The church immediately descended into chaos. Many frightened women clutched their children tightly, closing their eyes in fear. One terrified person exclaimed, "What is happening?" Zhang Yi calmly looked towards the source of the noise. In the eyes of Zhang Yi beside her flashed a cold glint. Tongjian Dame, protect the cult leader well. Zhang Yi took charge of managing the church's affairs and dealing with external enemies. Following Zhang Yi's orders, Tongjian and Dame immediately stood alert beside Zhang Yi, responsible for her protection. Han Chang, Lai Kan, Wu Huan, follow me outside to confront the enemy. Zhang Yi led the others through the crowd, leaving the church. Zhang Yi rubbed her hands together and silently prayed, "Snow God, bless your believers and guide us out of war and suffering." Inside the church, the adult men seemed to be influenced by some kind of power. They stood up, their eyes blazing with reverence, and collectively shouted, "For the great cult leader, for worship the snow sect." They faced the large door, following the group led by Zhang Yi. After they left, the church door was tightly shut. Zhang Yi nonchalantly said, "Let the blessing ritual continue." At the Tianfeng area, outside the headquarters of the Worship the Snow Sect, a major battle was taking place. The allied forces from the Yangsheng base and the Zhao Yu base had attacked here. The disappearance of the mutant persons working for them made them furious and uncontrollable. The greatest suspicion was directed towards the Worship the Snow Sect. Xiao Han Lian and Ruan Tinghai led dozens of snowmobiles, carrying hundreds of fully equipped soldiers, attacking towards the Worship the Snow Sect. The disparity in weapons and equipment between the two sides was too great. Both major bases had prepared thoroughly for the battle, lacking neither advanced weapons nor abundant ammunition. The Worship the Snow Sect, although they had guns, most were primitive types and their combat skills were also lacking. In a short time, the defensive soldiers suffered heavy losses. Bright red blood stained the white snow. A person in red shouted, "We must hold our ground. We cannot let them destroy our homeland." Along both sides of the road and on the upper floors, many warriors from the Worship the Snow Sect were hiding. They held simple weapons to retaliate. Some were extremely aggressive, unafraid of death, strapping explosives and holding ligers as they rushed into battle. He shouted loudly, "For the Snow God." He had just finished his sentence, risking everything against them when he was blown to smithereens. Although their weapons were rudimentary and their tactics clumsy, thanks to this recklessness and fearlessness, they had initiated the attack and halted two allied bases. Xiao Han Lian witnessed this scene, her eyes filled with murderous intent. This perverse cult had brainwashed many people into becoming fearless monsters. They truly deserved to be eradicated. These fearless individuals rushed out from the streets, jumped down from buildings, and even exploded from underground to attack. This method of assault gave Xiao Han Lian a chilling feeling. She shouted loudly, "Advance! Capture Zhang Yi! Bring that perverse woman to me! I want to tear apart her sacred skin." Xiao Han Lian pointed toward the church. "If anyone can capture her, I will reward that person with 50 kilograms of beef." Hearing such an enticing reward, her soldiers went wild, firing their machine guns indiscriminately. At that moment, several shadowy figures appeared. Upon seeing them, the eyes of the soldiers from the Worship the Snow Sect lit up with hope. The priests had arrived. Zhang Yi, along with 3 other priests, observed the opponents in front of them with cold eyes. The soldiers from the 2 bases recognized them as important figures and immediately shifted their targets, firing continuously. Eliminate them. But faced with a heavy rain of bullets, Zhang Yi remained calm. He slowly raised his right hand to stop the incoming bullets in front of him. With this simple gesture, it seemed he had created an impenetrable barrier. All the bullets halted before him, about a meter away, as if they were sinking into a soft rubber wall. Zhang Yi relaxed his hand and all the bullets fell to the ground. He stared coldly at the opposing alliance. "Do you want to break the peace agreement?" Xiao Hong Lion glared at the man, gritting her teeth and enunciating each word. Zhang Yixian, break the peace agreement. It is you who acted first. After saying this, she didn't give Zhang Yixian a chance to respond. She took a large bottle of liquor from behind her, opened it, and took a big gulp. She focused her strength and spat out a flame from her mouth, transforming it into a gigantic fire dragon. The bright red flame illuminated the entire road, melting the snow over dozens of meters in an instant. The extremely high temperature caused more than 10 members of the worship, the Snow Sect, to be burned to ashes. The fire advanced directly towards Zhang Yixian and several others. Although they were powerful mutant persons, they couldn't help but be astonished by Xiao Han Lian's formidable power. Zhang Yixian raised both hands to the sides, concentrated his energy, and pulled 2 trucks from the pile of snow, placing them in front of him to block Xiao Hong Lian's flames. Even though the flames were blocked by the trucks, the high temperature still made Zhang Yixian and some priests feel their faces burning. Several unfortunate soldiers from the worship the Snow Sect had been incinerated by Xiao Hong Lian's fire, prompting the group to hurriedly step back a few paces. Zhang Yixian shouted loudly, "Is this a misunderstanding? Our worship, the Snow Sect, has always maintained a neutral stance and does not wish to confront any forces." However, Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai showed no interest. Since they had come here, their purpose was to deal a serious blow to the worship the Snow Sect, disregarding the truth, only caring to strike first and think later. Xiao Hong Lian waved her right hand forward, and the soldiers under her command immediately grabbed their weapons and jumped down from the vehicles. She yelled loudly, "Kill them all." Ruan Tinghai also waved to his soldiers, and the troops from Zhao Yu base began to advance. He spoke as he walked. "If we have come, we must make you suffer a severe loss." Zhang Yixian realized that they had no intention of talking to him. His gaze became even more indignant. He understood that the opponent wanted to destroy worship the Snow Sect. To make them stop, worship the Snow Sect had to demonstrate all its strength. Zhang Yixian shouted loudly, "Counterattack! We cannot let them approach the church no matter what." The army from Yangsheng base and Zhao Yu base began to slaughter the followers of worship the Snow Sect. They were equipped with modern weapons, excellent defense gear, fully equipped from head to toe. Especially in cold-resistant conditions, they completely outclassed worship the Snow Sect. In the battle among the ice and snow, they confidently believed they could easily break through the defense line of worship the Snow Sect. As they pushed them back, Ruan Tinghai did not hesitate to act. Immediately, he took a deep breath and exhaled a white mist. The temperature around him dropped instantly. Lord of Ice and Snow. Turning around, Ruan Tinghai was quickly enveloped by a thick layer of ice, forming a solid armor. He gently raised his right hand, and the snow and ice around him immediately seemed to explode, destroying and spreading towards worship the Snow Sect. His figure gradually became blurred, hard to detect in the blizzard. Whether it was Xiao Hong Lian or Ruan Tinghai, both had seized power through force. Therefore, they both possessed the strongest combat power within their range. The combined strength of the two was not inferior to Lang Feng, and in some respects, they even surpassed him. Their alliance posed great trouble for worship the Snow Sect. Realizing that this battle was inevitable, a ruthless look flashed in Zhang Yixian's eyes. He shouted, "In the name of the Snow God, I will grant them punishment from above." All the believers did not hesitate and charged forward to attack, fiercely confronting the two powerful forces. At this moment, believers of worship the Snow Sect crawled out from the nooks and crannies like ants. They were dressed in tattered clothes, gaunt, but each person's eyes sparkled with madness, showing no fear. Holding crude weapons such as cleavers and iron rods, they shouted, "Destroy all enemies of worship the Snow Sect. Attack!" The soldiers of the two bases, seeing this scene, revealed merciless smiles. Then they pulled the triggers in their hands. Bang, bang, bang. The disciples were shot through with holes everywhere. The soldiers felt puzzled. Have these people gone mad? Do they dare to use their bodies to stop us? However, at that moment, they suddenly heard a powerful wind from above. The soldiers from the two bases instinctively looked up and were surprised to see a dark figure rapidly descending. A follower of the worship the Snow Sect, crazed and covered in explosives, jumped from a tall building in front of them, holding a lighter in hand. Bang! A horrific explosion rang out. Fragments of that person and several other soldiers were scattered everywhere, plunging together into hell. This scene left all the soldiers numb. A worried captain shouted, "These people from the worship the Snow Sect are completely insane. They don't hesitate to sacrifice their lives to attack. Stay alert." Xiao Hong Lian was furious upon witnessing this. This time, they had only brought a few hundred soldiers to attack because they needed people to stay back to protect the headquarters. However, from the buildings surrounding the church, thousands of followers of the worship the Snow Sect continuously rushed forward. Their numbers made it much harder for everyone to fight. Xiao Hong Lion couldn't help but frown and cursed. Damn, what kind of brainwashing did these trash use to deceive so many fools into sacrificing for them? She felt no sympathy for these followers, only thinking they were foolish to sacrifice their lives for those who had nothing to do with them. She observed the group of mutant persons worshipping the Snow Sect. Finally, her gaze landed on Zhang Yi. Xiao Hong Lion said to Ruan Tinghai, "To catch them, we must capture the king first." Ruan Tinghai nodded and smiled, as easy as pie. Xiao Hong Lion took a gulp of strong liquor, activating her powers. As Xiao Hong Lion's powers were activated, fiery red lines began to appear on her hands, legs, and face, resembling streams of mana flowing slowly. The high temperature caused a mist to rise around her. After drinking, her body became more radiant. Ruan Tinghai was surrounded by a thick layer of snow. In an instant, his figure disappeared without a trace. Jang Yi furrowed his brow, sensing danger. In just a moment, his legs were abruptly held tight. Out of nowhere, two icy arms emerged from beneath the snow, binding him firmly. Ruan Tinghai slowly appeared, his gaze eerie as he looked at Zhang Yi. A cold aura began to spread from Zhang Yixian's legs. Meanwhile, Xiao Hong Lion shot forward like an arrow released from a bow towards Zhang Yixian at an unbelievable speed. She threw a blazing red fist engulfed in fierce flames, aiming straight for Zhang Yixian's head. The explosion rang out violently, snow was sent flying, all objects and people around were thrown aside. A second later, Zhang Yixian gasped for breath, standing behind Wu Huan and Han Chang, his right arm charred, blood congealing as the poison from the fire penetrated. If not treated in time during the apocalypse, this would be extremely dangerous. Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai stood not far away, their faces showing dissatisfaction. They had allied together, but still couldn't defeat Zhang Yixian in one blow. What a pity. It was frustrating not to be able to kill him directly. The followers around continued to increase. At a crucial moment, Zhang Yixian's subordinates quickly broke free from others' entanglement and rushed to save him. Worship the Snow Sect had an undeniable advantage in numbers. The followers of Worship the Snow Sect had frenzied eyes, unafraid of death. Some even charged into battle wielding iron pots. Their burning gaze sent chills down people's spines. They were not only unafraid of death, but also sought ways to commit suicide. It was hard to imagine how Worship the Snow Sect had brainwashed them. Xiao Hong Lion was furious. These people are completely insane. They wouldn't hesitate to trade the lives of 10 or 20 of their own for one of ours. The most frightening thing is that the number of followers of Worship the Snow Sect is increasing day by day, continuously appearing from the rubble of the buildings. After all, this is the most densely populated area of Tianhai City, and it is unimaginable how many followers Worship the Snow Sect has recruited after the apocalypse. Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai feel that the situation is not very optimistic. The frenzy of Worship the Snow Sect far exceeds their predictions. Although the chance of victory is still quite large, they must be wary of the people from the Qingfu base. They cannot afford to lose too many people here. Finally, Xiao Hong Lion made a decision. She took a deep breath, looked at Zhang Yixian coldly, and said, "My cousin and a dozen people under his command have died, and Worship the Snow Sect is the main suspect. Now we need an explanation from you." If they could directly eliminate Worship the Snow Sect, they would not hesitate to attack immediately. But with too much at stake, negotiating for greater benefits is the best way to proceed. Ruan Tinghai did not object to Xiao Hong Lian's approach. He also did not want to continue fighting. An important person of mine, Wang Ruxwen, died at the Xaishan base. Now the most capable and suspicious ones are you, Worship the Snow Sect. Zhang Yixian, today you must provide us with an explanation. If not, we will not hesitate to destroy this place. Zhang Yixian thought to himself, clearly, it is hypocrisy. From the very beginning, it was a calculation that wouldn't stop unless there were deaths. Now they are afraid and temporarily changing their tone. The followers of the Worship the Snow Sect looked at Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai with wary eyes. They were not stupid, knowing that these two families only intended to attack from the start, but when they saw that the situation was not in their favor, they chose to negotiate. Han Chang was so furious that he felt his teeth would grind to dust. He threw the head of a soldier from Zhao Yu base to the ground, his right hand turning into a sharp claw. What does the death of your family have to do with our Worship the Snow Sect? Is there any evidence that proves we are the culprits? Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai couldn't help but reveal disdainful smiles at these words. Oh, so do you want to go report to the police? Han Chang was so enraged that he blurted out, "You!" Zhang Yixian raised his hand to signal Han Chang to stop. He contemplated the reason why Yangsheng base and Zhao Yu base suddenly broke the peace agreement and launched an attack. Worship the Snow Sect has always adhered to the agreement between us and has never killed anyone from your families. Ruan Tinghai laughed heartily, its eyes sparkling in the snow. But aside from you, I can't think of anyone else in Tian High City who has the strength and intentions and at the same time wants to do something against our two families. Moreover, the person carrying this out did so very meticulously, eliminating the captains of both mutant person groups without leaving any traces. The members of King Fu Base are basically staff from the King Fu Steel Mill. They have hot-tempered dispositions but are relatively peaceful, lacking great ambitions. Additionally, the remote location of the King Fu Steel Mill also makes their involvement unlikely. Besides Worship the Snow Sect, I can't think of any other forces that could be the main suspect. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said, "So that's it. But have you considered that in Tian High City, apart from our homes, there are still some forces that are not much weaker than us? They might even be on par with us." As these words were spoken, Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai immediately frowned, decisively rejecting this notion as impossible, because in their opinion, the main areas of Tian High City had long been divided among themselves. Clearly, apart from Worship the Snow Sect, a force that had developed strongly since the early days of the apocalypse while other bases had not yet expanded, the other areas were unlikely to develop another significant force. Shang Yixian continued, "Absolutely, have you forgotten? In the past month, there have been many fluctuations in the Lujiang area." Hearing this, Xiao Hong Lan and Ruan Tinghai exchanged glances, lost in thought. Over the past month, they had noticed the continuous sound of gunfire in the Lujiang area within the territory of the Xishan base. Moreover, they had also heard the powerful sounds of explosions from explosives on several occasions. Clearly, this was not a typical confrontation that caused noise, but no one believed that the Xishan base could be destroyed by that force. Shang Yixian's words made the two of them recall that strange period. Is it true that a powerful force really exists behind that? If they truly still exist, can the Xishan base handle them? Ruvan Tinghai also thought similarly to Xiao Hong Lian. No one wanted a strong opponent to appear in this land. Shang Yixian, what you say is only intended to shift our hostile target. Based solely on your words, how can we trust you? Xiao Hong Lian had her own plan, but in the current confrontational situation, she had to maintain the initiative over Zhang Yixian. She pointed at Zhang Yixian and said firmly, "You now need to prove that the worship of the Snow Sect is innocent for us to trust you." Han Chang was angry and wanted to say something, but was stopped by Zhang Yixian. "Don't act rashly. If we really fight now, we are not their match." Zhang Yixian signaled Han Chang to calm down. The worship of the Snow Sect is still weak at the moment. Even when facing a force from a base, fighting is quite difficult. Moreover, they would have to confront a 1-against-2 situation. Zhang Yixian said to Han Chang, "Tell them what you witnessed at the Xishan base that day." Han Chang began to recount. "That day, we also went to the Xishan base and met Wang Ruxuan from the Zhao Yu base. Not only did he meet Wang Ruxuan and their people, but Han Chang also witnessed people from another force. Those individuals were wearing combat uniforms from the Xishan base. They might be the culprits you are looking for." Ruan Tinghai's expression became serious and he immediately asked, "Do you mean that the Xishan base hasn't been completely destroyed? Are they hiding in the shadows, slowly recovering their strength?" For Ruan Tinghai, Wang Ruxuan was his longtime teammate. They had fought together over 10 years ago at sea. Moreover, Wang Ruxuan was also a mutant person. Any mutant person was extremely important to a power. Han Chang recounted all that he had witnessed that day to Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai. Xiao Hong Lian responded decisively, "If that's the case, then it's even less likely. The Xishan base was devastated even at its refuge. The remaining team wouldn't grow too strong. The issue of supplies would become their biggest dilemma. If they are really hiding, they can only slowly recover their strength. They certainly wouldn't dare to attack us all at once." At this moment, Xiao Hong Lian scoffed and crossed her arms, saying, "Don't say it now. Even in the past, did Chen Xi Ran have the guts to do this?" Zhang Yixian said seriously, "The people from the Xishan base may not dare, but that doesn't mean others won't. It's possible that the area of the Xishan base is now occupied by another power that once fought against them. Not everyone knows about the existence of forces like us. They might not be aware that there are strong refuge bases of ours in the Xishan and Lujiang areas. If they knew, I think they wouldn't necessarily dare to act against our people." Zhang Yixian's explanation caused Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai to reflect. Although it sounds hard to believe, when combining all current situations for analysis, it becomes a possible scenario. Previously, the 5 major forces always maintained a balanced relationship. No one dared to easily instigate a conflict. Who would dare to take such a risk, killing the mutant person of both families? It was only outsiders who could be most likely to make such a move. Seo Hong Lion mumbled Lujiang area. Ruan Tinghai also furrowed his brow in contemplation. He felt he had some impression of it, but could not remember clearly in a short time. It seemed to be an important event, but it resembled a rumor from intelligence. However, only this way of speaking could explain the current situation. No side wanted to suffer large losses because many others were still waiting for opportunities to seize power behind them. After discussing, Seo Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai decided to temporarily withdraw to thoroughly investigate the area that Zhang Yi had mentioned. Seo Hong Lian declared, "We will stop here today and begin our investigation. But you must remember this. If I find out that the troublemaker comes from your side, I will come back. Next time, we will thoroughly destroy your hideout." Han Chen couldn't contain his hot temper and said, "What are you boasting about? If you've had the courage, come at me. At that time, I will definitely not let you leave peacefully." Seo Hong Lian smiled contemptuously and turned to lead her team away. She did not want to waste words with Han Chang. Ruan Tinghai, with a cold expression, said nothing and withdrew. Like Seo Hong Lian, he could return at any time. On the way back, Ruan Tinghai said to Seo Hong Lian, "The worship the Snow Sect is growing too quickly. Using brainwashing, they have recruited quite a number of survivors." Seo Hong Lian coldly replied, "That cult and its leader have long deserved death. Now, not only the survivors from other areas, but even my slaves want to escape elsewhere. They are foolish to believe that there is still paradise in this apocalyptic era. They do not understand that they lack the strength to survive. Wherever they go, it'll only be a waste of lives." When the two bases stopped for a break, each side decided to return to their own base. At the moment of parting, Ruan Tinghai asked Seo Hong Lian, "What do you plan to do?" Seo Hong Lian smiled with deep meaning. "Do we really need to say? We can't just sit back and do nothing, can we?" Ruan Tinghai shrugged. "What I mean is, should we cooperate? After all, there might be a strong force in that area. Acting alone is very dangerous. The Zhao Yu base is strong at sea, with their ships as the key, but on land, their strength is not as good as the Yangsheng base." Ruan Tinghai continued, "If you have thought it over, I hope we can cooperate. After all, now that Qin X Iran is dead, as long as we join forces, the city of Tianhai will be within our grasp." Seo Hong Lian did not refuse, but did not agree either. She simply said, "We should go back and investigate thoroughly first, then make a decision. The words of worship, the Snow Sect, cannot be completely trusted. They need to make their own judgment." Seo Hong Lian coldly said briefly, "Let's go." Ruan Tinghai watched the convoy of the Yangsheng base leave, sighed, and said, "She is indeed a strong woman. If I can win her over, the city of Tianhai will surely belong to me." Ruan Tinghai, a pale and slender young man, his assistant Chen Jingguan, approached and said, "Leader, it seems this woman is hiding something from us." Ruan Tinghai's gaze turned slightly passive. He sneered contemptuously. "Isn't that quite normal? None of us completely trust each other." Having said that, he appeared satisfied. "Moreover, I seem to recall something about the one who fought near the Lujiang area and the Aishan base. Perhaps it was some insignificant figures from before." The scene shifts to the Yangsheng base. After returning to the base, Seo Hong Lian immediately began investigating the mysterious forces in the Lujiang area. However, what concerned Seo Hong Lian was the disappearance of Gao Yuan and his satellite phone signal. Without resting, Seo Hong Lian went straight to the information room. According to the information room staff, the satellite phone signal was located at the intersection point between Saishan and Lujiang, near the Lujiang River. Although the exact position could not be determined due to signal issues, the error could be reduced to a range of 5 kilometers around Sudong Town and Yunque State. The only inhabited places nearby were these two locations. Zhuge Qingting lifted her glasses and said to Seo Hong Lian, "The Yunque Estate is the wealthiest residential area in Tianhai City. Sudong Town also has a few thousand residents. It is possible that a force opposing the Saishan base is located here." Seo Hong Lian's eyes flickered. She was weighing the pros and cons of the situation. Could her people have been killed by that mysterious force? Why would they want to kill her people? Why had the signal disappeared for a time and then reappeared? Everything seemed suspicious, as if someone was intentionally doing something. Seo Hong Lian said softly, "It seems like we can only send someone to investigate first." After hearing this, Zhuge Qingting suggested, "Should we invite Ruan Tinghai? If they investigate together, it might be safer." Seo Hong Lian shook her head, rejecting Zhuge Qingting's suggestion. No need. In her eyes was a proud confidence. Although she was unsure how strong this mysterious force was, the prolonged battle at the Xishan base had surely weakened them. Therefore, she guessed their peak strength was only on par with the Xishan base. The Xishan base had been destroyed, and they would not be much better off. If they were indeed devastated, we could seize the opportunity. Shuj King Ting thought for a moment and said, "But we can't assess the opponent's strength. Acting this way still carries risks. They have continuously eliminated the mutant persons from our two houses." Xiao Han Lion thought of her cousin and couldn't help but shake her head. Even as a mutant person, his strength in our base could only be ranked at the bottom. This time, I will send Tong Hu. He is the most meticulous worker. King Ting listened to Xiao Han Lian's resolute words and could only remain silent. Xiao Han Lion looked at King Ting and continued. "As for the Zhao Yu base, we don't need to worry about it. Ruan Tinghai is a cunning individual. If it weren't for their need for assistance from the Yangsheng base, they wouldn't have to be so polite to us." Seeing that the leader had made a decision, Zhuge King Ting did not say anything further and simply ordered someone to call Tong Hu. King Ting told a guard, "Call Tong Hu here." Switching scenes to the Tianfeng area. After the war, the headquarters of worship, the Snow Sect, was in chaos, with dead bodies lying everywhere, blood staining the white snow. Women and children were hidden in the church, where they were strictly protected by the soldiers of worship, the Snow Sect. The dead outside the battlefield were all adult male believers. Zhang Yi lightly stroked his burned arm. The injury caused by Xiao Hong Lion left his flesh and bone exposed in a rather gruesome manner. Due to the extreme cold, he felt little pain, only weakness. Han Chang and the others looked at him worriedly as they saw the horrific injury on his arm. They couldn't help but exclaim in fear, "Priest Zhang Yixian, you almost got taken down by Xiao Hong Lian and Ruan Tinghai." The fighting strength of these two bases is not something to be taken lightly. They have become the leaders of their respective bases. Who knows how many people they have defeated? He said to Han Chang, "It's okay, I will go to the cult leader for treatment." Zhang Yixian, wearing a red fur coat to cover his wounds, slowly turned his back and walked toward the church. Before leaving, he commanded his subordinates, "Clean this place up." Zhang Yixian closed his eyes. The mysterious and serene gaze vanished, replaced by an expression of fatigue. The once valiant followers, unafraid of death, armed to defend the worship of the Snow Sect, began to feel uneasy. After a moment, Zhang Yixian departed. When they saw the amount of corpses and blood before them, they realized the pain from their injuries. Moans of agony filled the air as they fell to the snow, clutching their wounds and groaning in pain. In the midst of the crowd, a few people dressed in red religious garments immediately appeared. They raised their hands high and shouted, "O brave warriors, you have received the blessing of the snow god, helping you to feel no fear. Your souls will be taken to paradise where eternal peace and happiness exist." However, such slogans soon became useless to those severely injured. Some individuals dressed like female monks urged the female believers to carry medical kits, quickly moving through the crowd to find those with lighter injuries. Due to a shortage of medical supplies, they could only perform basic bandaging to stop the bleeding, unable even to treat for poisoning. A female monk, while treating one person, spoke to an injured man who had lost an arm, looking in her direction. "Wait a moment, I will come to help you." The female monks bowed their heads, seeing his serious wounds and unable to stifle their gasps of shock. In her gaze full of compassion, she even shed a hot tear. "I pray for the snow god to relieve all the suffering of the world, to bestow blessings and great joy upon the faithful." She approached, slowly kneeling before the severely wounded man, taking his remaining hand, her eyes tender and deep like a mother's looking at her child. "If you cannot continue to serve the deities in this mortal realm, then return to heaven to serve him." Before the devotee could open his mouth, the female monk pulled out a sharp surgical knife from her person and ruthlessly stabbed it into his main artery. The devotee, before dying, looked at the female monk with an expression of disbelief. The female monk, full of pity, reached out to close his eyes and said, "How envious of you to meet the deity so quickly." On the battlefield, such cases were normal. Those severely injured could not survive because the worship the Snow Sect had received too many followers, unable to treat everyone with a limited amount of medicine. However, killing the severely injured seemed a bit cruel, but saying it allowed them to meet the snow god sooner sounded much more reasonable. Gradually, this belief was instilled in the hearts of many followers. Zhang Yixian went to find cult leader Yuan Kong Yi by himself to heal his injuries. The remaining tasks were assigned to the other priests. Han Chang quickly arranged for support to take the injured away for treatment. As for the bodies, they could not be wasted, but had been decided to be moved to an abandoned high-rise building behind the church. He shouted, "Once the bodies are piled up, follow me this way." Han Chang took on the role of commander while being vigilant against the possibility of Anbi's returning. The followers brought the bodies to the entrance of the abandoned high-rise and then left. This area was a sacred site for worshipping the Snow Sect. Except for the cult leader and the priests, no one was allowed to approach. Han Chang shouted an order, "Put the bodies down immediately. Ordinary followers are forbidden from entering here." In front of the building, large piles of bodies were scattered across the snow. A few soldiers also quickly left at his command. Not long after they left, suddenly eerie green vines appeared from deep within the building. They wrapped around the bodies and pulled them inside. In the blink of an eye, the bodies were dragged away, leaving splatters of blood on the snow. Inside the building, strange green lights were spreading. An enormous green plant was rooting deep at the ground, with vines spreading throughout the building. Each floor's ceiling contained large, misty green cocoons shaped like humans inside, with green vines covering each body and hanging them on the walls and ceiling. A thick red fog began to emanate from the vines, making the entire building appear as a chaotic, ethereal landscape in a maze. Eventually, from the vines sprang fruits resembling red apples. Han Chang stood at a high vantage point, seeing a gentle glow emanating from the building. He clasped his hands before his chest and whispered a prayer. "May I be the one to pave the way, becoming hope for the fortunate survivors, and their bodies shall become our sustenance." Jang Yi entered the church. At this moment, Kong Yi was oblivious to the chaotic situation outside, continuing the ritual of bestowing blessings upon the congregation. This group mainly consisted of new converts who had recently sought to join. After witnessing Kong Yi perform her magic, they all admired her and decided to join the worship of the Snow Sect. The blessing ceremony was nearing its end, with only a few children led in by their parents remaining. They had just joined the worship of the Snow Sect a week ago and had become its most devoted followers, ready to offer their lives to the Snow God. Kong Yi looked at them with a gentle demeanor, but her gaze concealed something very sinister. However, she quickly masked this, hiding it deep within her dark eyes. Kong Yi waved to the children. "Come here, my little ones." The children were dazed, not understanding why their parents had brought them here. But when they turned to look back, they saw their parents' encouraging gazes. "Children, trust the cult leader. Everything she does is for your benefit, and you need to undergo the cleansing ritual to become official citizens of the Worship the Snow Sect." The children were unclear about what they were about to do, but trusting their parents, they stepped forward. Kong Yi asked one child to come up and lie on the altar. She then placed her right hand on the child's head and gently pressed down. The child immediately felt a loss of strength, as if their limbs no longer belonged to them. Kong Yi wore a kind smile. "Don't be afraid, little one. There is a demon within you, and now I will exorcise it for you." In her hand was a small sharp knife. Suddenly, the child's pupils contracted, and they felt dizzy with fear. But at that moment, the boy had no strength left, not even able to make a sound with his vocal cords. Below, some other boys were also frozen in fear, not understanding what the demonic ritual the cult leader mentioned was. Kong Yi told the boy, "Don't move. Just a little longer. Everything will be fine." Kong Yi smiled faintly and made a powerful cut. She said, "You are tainted. Let me cleanse you myself." Fresh blood splattered, and from then on, this child would no longer be his son. He immediately fainted, his eyes losing consciousness. Kong Yi's right hand was placed on the wound, and pure white light sparkled, stopping the bleeding. "From now on, you will no longer become a filthy demon." Kong Yi led the child out and said, "The cleansing is complete." The child's parents stepped forward, expressing their heartfelt gratitude to Kong Yi. "We thank the cult leader for purifying our son's body, helping him not to be led by demons." The child's mother asked Kong Yi, "From now on, this child will be more filial, obedient, and will never cause us trouble like before, right?" Kong Yi nodded. "From now on, the child will become a kind and gentle one." The couple was so overjoyed that they burst into tears, smiled at each other, and then took the child home. However, at this moment, the other boys who had not been cleansed were frightened to the point of dizziness. They screamed, "Is cleansing supposed to mean cutting that part off? I don't want to. I don't want that. I will become a eunuch. I don't want to be a eunuch." The children were so terrified that they wanted to run away. But at this moment, a tall barrier of people stood in front of them. It was their beloved parents who had personally brought them to the altar. "My dear, why don't you understand this? We do this for your own good. Your mischief is surely due to the evil spirit lurking within you. As long as the cult leader treats you, you will become a good child. Please behave a little. Don't be so unreasonable." The strict parents reprimanded them, but in the children's eyes, they looked like terrifying demons. Behind them, the soft yet chilling voice of Kong Yi echoed. "Next, who will be cleansed?" The children were gradually cleansed one by one. Afterward, their parents expressed gratitude to Kong Yi and took their children back home. The blessing ceremony concluded. One by one, people began to leave the church. The once crowded church quickly became desolate, leaving only Kong Yi and Zhang Yi. The blessing ceremony was over. The parents couldn't hide the joy on their faces. A mother smiled at her son and said, "You were truly wonderful." Everyone began to exit the church, joyfully exclaiming, "We truly thank the cult leader. This time there is no need to worry that your children won't obey anymore." At this moment, Yuan Kong Yi also sought out the cult leader for treatment. Yuan Kong Yi saw Zhang Yixian's bandaged arm, slowly approached and gently lifted his sleeve. "How did you get such a serious injury?" she said, and immediately placed her right hand on Zhang Yixian's arm to begin treating him. Zhang Yixian just wanted her to restrain her use of power a bit and prevented her. "You have used your abilities too much today. Please continue treating me tomorrow." Yuan Kong Yi smiled. Her smile was as cold as ice and snow. Who attacked? Was it the Yangsheng base of Xiao Hong Lian, the Zhao Yu base of Ruan Ting Hai, or the King Fu base of Xingtian? Zhang Yixian covered his arm in response. It was the Yangsheng and Zhao Yu bases working together. A look of surprise flashed in Yuan Kong Yi's eyes. "Both families attacked us together." Zhang Yixian nodded and recounted the entire incident to Yuan Kong Yi. After hearing this, her eyes showed astonishment. In Tianhai, apart from the worship of the Snow Sect and the four ruling bases, there exists such a mysterious and powerful force. Could the destruction of the Xishan base be related to them? Zhang Yixian said, "This mysterious force is connected to one person named Zhang Yi. We have received information about him, always mentioning this person." Zhang Yixian frowned as he analyzed the information he had previously received about Jang Yi. It now seems that all connections converge into one path. Clearly, Jang Yi is a mutant person, but also extremely powerful. It can be said that he is one of the top figures in Tianhai. His strength likely aims at the whole of Tianhai in the near future. If not, how could he withstand the Xishan base for so long, even leading to its destruction? Yuan Kong Yi bowed his head and appeared to hesitate. However, the evidence all pointed to the fact that the destruction of the Xishan base was related to the ballistic missiles from the Jiangnan area. Zhang Yixian nodded. "That's right. This still does not eliminate the connection to Zhang Yi. This person cannot be underestimated. He definitely holds significant power in his hands. Moreover, based on the information we received earlier, the fact that he possesses a large amount of supplies might not just be a conspiracy, but it is indeed real." Yuan Kong Yi's dark eyes sparkled. "If so, we really need to pay attention to this person." Zhang Yixian stepped forward and suggested, "Should we send great ordnance to investigate him?" Zhang Yixian continued, "The entire city of Tianhai, the areas with important resources, are occupied by four powerful houses. Although we, the worship the Snow Sect, have a large number of people, we are severely lacking in resources. We can use corpses to exchange for food, but that is not a long-term solution." As seen today, when Zhao Yu and Yang Sheng, the two allied bases, attacked, we struggled to resist. If they were not apprehensive and did not want to engage in a life-and-death confrontation with us, perhaps the worship the Snow Sect would not have been able to overcome this difficulty. Therefore, I think we need to develop an alliance. Zhang Yixian's eyes brightened. "Especially, we'd even an alliance like ours." After a moment of thought, Yuan Kong Yi slowly nodded. She agreed with Zhang Yixian's perspective. Based solely on the current strength of worship the Snow Sect in a life-and-death battle, any of the three major bases could defeat them. She needed more time to grow stronger. She said to Zhang Yixian, "All right, we will send great ordnance to verify his strength. If he truly has the ability to confront the bases, perhaps from now on, the situation in Tianhai City will undergo significant changes." The scene shifts to Zhang Yi's hideout. Zhao Kai-ni is in the medical room. She is wearing a white coat and studying something under a microscope with a serious expression. Jang Yi, with his arms crossed, lazily asked her, "So, what do you know about this toy?" Zhao Kai-ni is researching the stimulant that Zhang Yi obtained from Gao Yuan and his group. This drug can help ordinary people instantly possess strength comparable to a mutant person, leaving a strong impression on Zhang Yi. Therefore, he is very interested in this drug and wants to study it further. If its effects are indeed good, he could use it for the people in the hideout in the future. Although the side effects are significant, it could save lives in emergencies. Zhou Kai-ne slowly looked up, turned back, and said to Zhang Yi, "This drug is a military-grade stimulant. It is usually only distributed to soldiers on the battlefield. Its effects are extremely powerful, significantly enhancing the body's basic abilities and allowing a person to go without sleep for 3 days and nights." She exclaimed, "I have seen this type of drug in the professor's laboratory, but this is the first time I have seen anyone use it. In terms of effects, it is at least 10 times stronger than the type you have used before. Of course, its side effects are also extremely serious." Jang Yi asked curiously, "How serious?" Zhou Kai-ni smiled mysteriously. This drug only enhances the body's energy utilization and speeds up the metabolism. In reality, it's a way of consuming energy frantically. Using it once, losing more than 10 kilograms is quite normal. It also causes body aches, and someone with a good physique needs half a month to recover. As for those with weak constitutions, they might die immediately. Zhang Yi smiled wryly. Indeed, there is nothing in this world that comes without a price. A powerful drug without side effects truly does not exist. However, after hearing this, Zhang Yi frowned, thought for a moment, and then slowly said, "Perhaps there is a way." Jang Yi uttered a sound of surprise and looked at her intently. Is there really such a drug? Zhang Yi nodded. I have heard that the military is researching a drug that can enhance soldiers' combat abilities while trying to limit the side effects that affect their long-term fighting capacity. Although it's uncertain whether the side effects can be completely eliminated, they are trying to minimize them. Of course, the price of this drug is also terrifyingly high. So far, it has not become a popular stimulant in the military. Zhang Yi said, theoretically, there is a possibility we might encounter it, but the probability is not very high, right? Well, just knowing this is enough. Zhang Yi crossed his arms and whispered, it seems that in the future, when we meet ordinary people, we also need to be careful. The power of science and technology should not be underestimated. Zhang Yi took off her white gloves, preparing to clean the laboratory equipment. Zhang Yi changed the subject and started a conversation with her. Do you still remember the last time I used that rat poison? Zhang Yi turned to look at Zhang Yi with curiosity, not understanding why he suddenly brought this up. Rat poison? You used it last time, right? In that Yulu apartment? Do you still have that thing? Zhang Yi smiled mysteriously. I kept it. You never know when it might come in handy. People always need to be cautious when going out to avoid trouble. It's good to think ahead a bit. He asked Zhang Yi. At that time, you said the dosage was 0.1 grams. What would happen if a small amount is used? Zhang Yi was unclear about Zhang Yi's intentions, but she still answered honestly. If the dosage is too small, there's no need to worry because the human body has a natural ability to eliminate toxins. However, if the dosage is around 5%, the kidneys cannot completely eliminate it from the body and it will create toxicity. Zhang Yi curiously continued to ask, is it life-threatening? Zhang Yi shook her head. Not necessarily. Then why is there a concept of a lethal dose? She continued. However, if exposed for an extended period, the consequences will be completely different. It can cause the organs in the body to gradually weaken, and if not treated in time, death will be inevitable. At this point, Zhang Yi's expression became serious, but in such a harsh environment now, the human body is already very weak. If we come in contact with this kind of drug again, we might only just wait for death. Zhang Yi nodded. So that's it, your words make a lot of sense. Zhang Yi glanced at him, smiling and asked, do you have rats at your place? Zhang Yi's smile became even more mysterious. Not in the house, but outside there are some. Zhang Yi looked confused. In a place covered with white snow like this, how can there be rats existing outdoors? You seem to be speaking nonsense. However, we can't be too sure, Zhang Yi replied. Perhaps there are still rats hiding in the sewers. Rats usually live in filthy environments and have a strong ability to survive in times of disaster. Zhang Yi shrugged. That could be. Nowadays, even cats can mutate, so why can't rats? Who knows, maybe one day rats will become the rulers of an area. Who can tell? After a casual chat with Zhang Yi, Zhang Yi left the medical room. In Xudong village, after a period of living independently, they gradually learned how to catch fish. Although this process was incredibly hard when people got used to laziness, getting them to work was even harder than killing them. However, when hunger became unbearable, they had no choice but to get up and find a way to survive. Today, everyone gathered in the snow house to warm up. Hao Cheng-yu gritted his teeth, eyes filled with anger. This is miserable. Why do we have to live such a hard life? The students beside Hao Cheng-yu, who was complaining, started to join the discussion. If that's the case, we might as well stay at the Xaishan base. It might be a bit tougher there, but at least there are people to provide us with food and a warm place to stay. Better to die in a comfortable environment. He tightened his grip and said, people only learn to cherish what they have after they lose it. Knowing that after leaving the Xaishan base, we have to live like this, I'd rather die there. Yi Xiaotian, sitting beside them, heard their conversation gradually becoming distorted and couldn't help but frown. What you are saying is indeed not wrong. Do you really think that dying is better than living? He glanced at the classmates who were mocking him. If you all went through an experiment like that, I believe you would never say such things again. Yi Xiaotian was very grateful to Liang Yu because he had endured pain that others could not understand, which made him cherish the current life of freedom and happiness. When Yi Xiaotian spoke, no one dared to oppose him. However, it still whispered complaints. We're just joking around, but teacher Liang should help us. How can she bear to see us suffer? Forget it. Liang Yu wouldn't dare do that. She has become one of Zhang Yi's people now. Ha ha. Who knows, she might be able to enter the hideout by using her body in exchange. Oh, are you kidding me? Ha, maybe it really is like that. Don't be fooled by Liang Yu's calm demeanor. She always appears mature and composed. I think she is actually the kind of person who seems quiet, but possesses a free spirit deep within. One listener laughed at this point and reminded the classmates, ha ha, be careful with such bold thoughts. Yi Xiaotian felt helpless in response to those words. He could only let out a long sigh. The students didn't hesitate to express their dissatisfaction with Liang Yu through their words. However, very soon they all stopped because, as expected, Liang Yu was about to bring them food. Sure enough, not long after, Liang Yu brought the food to their snow house. Miss Liang, you have come too. We miss you so much. The students looked at Liang Yu with sad expressions, their eyes filled with tears. Liang Yu simply set down the food and told them, be a little careful lately. It's not safe around here. Besides going out to find food, you should wait inside the snow house. You must stay in Sudong village because there are many places to hide food supplies. You should take shelter in those underground bunkers. Do you understand? The students who heard this were all in a panic. Hao Cheng Yu hurriedly stood up, anxiously saying to Liang Yu, Ms. Liang, if the situation is so dangerous, why aren't you taking us back? Isn't the shelter the safest place? The other students also came to their senses and rushed to plead with Liang Yu to take them back. Seeing their pale faces, Liang Yu couldn't help but think of Yang Xin and Lu Qiran. Among them, the majority had exhibited violent and cold behavior towards those two girls. Since that time, Liang Yu's relationship with Yang Xin and Lu Qiran had become closer. Liang Yu only replied with one sentence, be careful. Listen to me and hide. After saying that, she turned away and left the snow-covered house, ignoring the calls of the students behind her. Ms. Liang! Ms. Liang! Shit, why is she so cruel? Hao Cheng Yu angrily hit the wall, his eyes filled with hatred. Why did she give us hope only to bring despair? Yi Xiaotian stepped forward and took a portion of food for himself. Seeing this, Hao Cheng Yu quickly shared the food with everyone. Don't rush, everyone gets a portion. The food provided by Zhang Yi was really delicious. After all, it was safe food. They ate greedily, leaving no grains of rice behind.